Okay, I'm live. Right. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Tech Cave. I wanted to do a video. Oh, sorry, that's eBay. I wanted to do a video today because a topic or question has come up a couple of times in the live hangouts about the new government scheme, which is giving us all £1,000 tax-free trading allowance. And I haven't looked into it, or I hadn't at the point when I got the question, so I couldn't really answer it or give my opinion. So what I thought I would do it. I found a government website, or it's on the government website, the government HMRC website, that explains the basics of what it's all about. So I thought I would look at the new policy and see how it relates to us as resellers. And importantly, how it relates to those of us that are full-time and earning way beyond that £1,000 allowance, to see if we get the same allowance, and also for those that are just dabbling in it, which I think is what this is aimed at, to kind of tie up that loose end of people that are just selling a few bits and bobs under £1,000 so they don't have to pay tax on it, which is I think the gist of this. So we're going to look at that, and then also while I'm here I'm going to look at our personal tax allowance, which we all have an individual personal tax allowance in the UK. There's a page on the government website that explains all of that. So while we're talking about this sort of stuff, I will share those numbers with you as well. But the main point of this is to look at the new policies, which I believe come in April. So it's going to apply to the next tax year as we move forward. So I will screen share and we will take a look and see what we can find out. Just find the right window. Okay. So you should be seeing, hang on. Oh, I've got windows open everywhere. Right, this one. Here we go. So hopefully you can see this now. So income tax, new tax allowance for property and trading income. It covers two things, as I say there. So it's property, which we're not going to look at today. It's the trading income. So if we scroll down here, who is likely to be affected? So it's individuals with small amounts of income from providing goods, services, and then goes on to say property or other assets. So goods and services. So all of us as resellers fall under that umbrella. So we certainly qualify for this. Goes on to say this measure introduces two new annual tax allowances for individuals of £1,000 each. And it goes on to say one for trading and one for property. The trading allowance will also apply to certain miscellaneous income from providing assets or services. So that's interesting, but certainly the trading allowance, the trading part of it covers what we do as resellers, so that's fine. Yeah, these new allowances will take effect from the next tax year, 2017 to 18. Right, so here we go. Where the allowances cover all of an individual's relevant income before expenses. That's interesting. So the £1,000 that this allowance covers is not profit, it's all of your income before expenses. So that's your turnover. So it's not a great deal when you think about it. Even if you're just dabbling in this part-time, you're going to get past that 1,000 as a gross figure pretty quick. So yeah, so where the allowances cover all of an individual's relevant income before expenses, then they will no longer have to declare or pay tax on this income. Right, there you go. So you won't even have to declare. No longer have to declare or pay tax on this income. So what that's saying is if you are just dabbling in this in a very, very small way and your gross figure is under £1,000, you don't even have to mention it. I've said many times in the past, if you're buying stuff with the express sort of motivation to make money and sell it on, then you should register and declare. But this is now saying that for people who are making pretty small amounts of money, I mean, I know it's £1,000, but over a whole year, that's not a great deal, then they are happy to basically ignore it. So that's cool. So here we go. This applies to those of us that are making more than that. Those with higher amounts of income will have the choice when calculating their taxable profits of deducting the allowance from their receipts. Right. Instead of deducting the actual allowable expenses. Okay. Yeah, I might need some light shedding on that. When calculating their taxable profits or deducting the allowance from their receipts. So you can just take that £1,000 off the revenue or the profit you've made instead of deducting the actual allowable expenses. Oh my God, is it just me? I'm sure that makes perfect sense, but right now that's just not really making sense. The trading allowance will also apply for Class 4 national insurance contribution purposes. Okay, fine. So basically what they're saying there is, yeah, if you earn more than 1,000, you still get that £1,000 tax-free. I might need some more clarity on what those two choices we have when we calculate our tax. That just complicates it to me. Yeah, if you understand what that sentence up there means, let me know. The new allowances will not apply to partnership income. Well, that rules me out then. I'm set up with Andrea as a partnership, so we don't qualify. Okay, I think it's about time. We don't really get any benefits from being a partnership, so this might really make it worth us just switching to being two sole traders, because then we'd get an extra £1,000 tax-free allowance. Okay. Policy objective. The new allowance provides simplicity and certainty regarding income tax obligations on small amounts of income from providing goods, services, property, or other assets. Yeah, so the point of this is to tie up that sort of confusion over whether you can buy and sell bits and bobs and not worry about being stung for tax. This measure supports the government's objective to simplify the tax system and to help the UK become leaders in the digital and sharing economy. Fair enough. Background details up to date. I did briefly look at this earlier. It's just a load of waffle down here. So that's pretty much all it says on here. So yeah, pretty much as I thought. It's aimed at people who are selling very small amounts of stuff, and it's to make, stop people worrying that they should be doing a full tax return just for selling a few £100 worth of bits and bobs. And the rest of us who are earning way beyond that, it's still applicable to us. I'm just going to need to get those sentences there clarified somehow about how we put it through with our tax return. Right, so let me just come out of screen share. Okay, you should be back with me. If you can hear a lot of noise, that's just Andrea and Ellen leaving. They're going to guides. So yeah, that kind of cleared things up in my head. The policy is what I thought it was, and it looks like it applies to people who are earning less than that £1,000 trading. And it's also those that earn more than that are eligible to gain that benefit as well. So it's basically, in a roundabout way, adding to our personal tax allowance in a way, but I guess you just have to put it through on your form differently. I'm not sure I'm clarifying much here. But anyway, that's that. If you have a different opinion on what all that meant, or you can understand those two choices we've got at how we declare it on our tax return, yeah, drop me a message below or about what you made of that. And now, like I said, I'll just share. I get people asking me about tax allowance and how much can we earn before paying tax. That's very easy to find out. But while we're here, I will screen share and we'll take a look. So let me just screen share again. Okay, So you should now see this page. So here we are again back on the .gov.uk website, and this is income tax rates and personal allowances. Now we all have a personal individual tax allowance, which is basically means the amount you can earn without having to pay tax on it, and that changes year on year. And at the moment, the standard personal allowance is, there it is, £11,000. So after all your expenses, your actual profit that you make in your business, up to £11,000 of it, you do not pay a penny of tax on, as it says there, which is the amount of income you don't have to pay tax on. And that applies to, in my situation, it applies to me and Andrea. So we each have that £11,000 amount. Now, there are brackets beyond that. Income tax rates and bands. So the table shows the tax rates you pay in each band if you have a standard personal allowance of 11,000. So there's your 11,000, which you pay naught on. If your income profits, this is not gross, goes beyond the 11,000, you then move up to the basic rate. So 11,000 up to 43,000, you will pay tax on any of that earned at 20%. And there are two brackets beyond that. 43,000 to 150,000, you would be paying at 40%, and over 150,000, 45. So that's, in a nutshell, the personal allowance, and we all have that. And as I say, it changes year on year, it goes up, and currently, the next tax year is going to be 11,000. I think that's the next, yeah. And that's current. So is that for next? Says there the current tax years and 6 February. So it's 11,000. I think that's what we're currently on. So maybe it's going to be higher. Yeah, I think that's our current allowance for the 2016 to 2017, this current tax year. So there you go. Right, and you should be back with me. Anyway, I hope somewhere in there I helped. I don't know, I've confused myself a little bit with that, with the first scheme about how we go about claiming it, because we have these choices. But we'll see. Yeah, if you understood that more than I did, then let me know. Yeah, there you go. Hope that was helpful in some small way. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye for now.